Imagine this. It's late at night. The room is quiet. Your phone is in your hand. You scroll through messages, photos, other people's lives. You feel something heavy inside your chest, a strange emptiness. You want someone to text you. You want someone to understand you. You want to feel seen. But at the same time, when someone actually gets close, when someone asks how you really feel, when someone wants to step into your inner world, you hesitate. You withdraw. You become distant. You say you're busy. You say you're fine. You build a wall. We are terrified of being alone, yet somehow we are experts at isolating ourselves. Why? At the core of every human being is a deep biological need for connection. Thousands of years ago, being alone meant danger. It meant vulnerability. It meant death. Our brains evolved to treat social rejection almost like physical pain. When someone ignores us, when we feel excluded, the same regions of the brain light up as when we are injured. Loneliness is not just a feeling. It is a survival alarm. But here is the paradox. The same brain that craves connection also remembers pain. If, at some point in your life, connection led to rejection, if vulnerability led to humiliation, if love led to abandonment, your brain quietly made a decision. It said, next time, we protect ourselves. And protection often looks like distance. Many of us fear loneliness, but we fear emotional exposure even more. When someone gets close, they gain the power to hurt us. They see our flaws. They see our insecurities. They see the parts of us we barely accept ourselves, and that feels dangerous. So we do something subtle. We become less responsive. We act indifferent. We avoid deep conversations. We sabotage relationships before they become too important. It's not that we don't want connection. It's that we want connection without risk, and that doesn't exist. Another reason we push people away is the illusion of independence. Modern culture glorifies self-sufficiency. We are told to be strong, to not rely on anyone, to need no one. We admire people who appear emotionally untouchable, so we learn to suppress our need for closeness. We pretend we're fine alone. We tell ourselves that needing others is weakness. But human beings are wired for attachment. Independence without connection often becomes isolation disguised as strength. There is also the fear of being truly known. Real intimacy requires honesty. It requires saying, I'm not okay. It requires admitting jealousy, insecurity, fear. Many of us were never taught how to express emotions safely. Maybe growing up, vulnerability was criticized. Maybe feelings were dismissed. So now, instead of expressing what we need, we retreat. Silence feels safer than exposure. Ironically, the more we hide, the more alone we feel. There is a psychological pattern called attachment style. Some people develop what is known as avoidant attachment. They value closeness, but when intimacy increases, they feel suffocated. They unconsciously create distance to regain a sense of control. Others develop anxious attachment. They crave closeness intensely, but fear abandonment so strongly that they become overly sensitive and reactive, which can also push people away. Both patterns come from the same root, fear of loss. We push people away not because we don't care, but because we care too much. Another layer of this paradox lies in self-worth. Deep down, some people believe they are not lovable. They may not say it out loud, but the belief lives quietly inside. So when someone shows affection, instead of feeling secure, they feel suspicious. If they really knew me, they wouldn't stay. To avoid the eventual rejection they assume will happen, they leave first. It feels better to choose distance than to be chosen against. Self-sabotage becomes a way to control the outcome. Technology also plays a role. We are more connected than ever, yet emotionally disconnected. Social media gives us constant exposure to people, but very little depth. We get used to surface-level interaction. We confuse attention with intimacy. So when real connection requires effort, patience, emotional availability, it feels uncomfortable. It demands more than we are used to giving. Loneliness grows in a world full of notifications. There is also pride. Sometimes we are too proud to admit we miss someone, too proud to apologize, too proud to say, I need you. Pride protects the ego, but isolates the heart. And slowly, the walls become thicker. Not because we want to be alone, but because lowering them feels humiliating. And then there is fear of dependency. We worry that if we rely on someone, we will lose ourselves. We worry about becoming too attached, so we maintain emotional distance as a safety measure. But healthy connection is not about losing identity, it is about sharing space while remaining whole. The tragedy is that the very behaviors we use to avoid loneliness often create it. We don't reply. We cancel plans. We avoid vulnerability. We act cold. We keep conversations shallow. We tell ourselves we're protecting our peace. But deep inside, we feel more disconnected than ever. So, how do we break this cycle? First, awareness. Recognizing that pushing people away is not strength, but fear in disguise. Second, tolerance for discomfort. Real intimacy feels uncomfortable at first because it challenges our defenses. It requires practice. Third, self-compassion. Instead of judging ourselves for being distant, we ask, what am I afraid of? Often, beneath anger or indifference, there is simply fear of being hurt. Connection is always a risk, but isolation is a slow pain. The truth is, we don't fear loneliness itself. We fear the vulnerability required to escape it. We want love without exposure, closeness without uncertainty, belonging without surrender. But human relationships are not contracts of guaranteed safety. They are shared journeys of imperfection. The most courageous thing a person can do is to stay open after being hurt. To say, yes, I was wounded, but I am still willing to connect. Loneliness is heavy, but walls are heavier. And maybe the question is not why we push people away. Maybe the real question is this: are we willing to risk being seen? Because on the other side of that risk is something we all crave. Not just company, but understanding. Not just presence, but acceptance. And not just someone beside us, but someone who truly sees us and stays.